So hello, welcome to the Expat pod. My name is James, your host, and today I'm joined by Marie, who we actually met by you commenting on a Facebook post I put on a podcasting group chat. So first of all, thank you for doing that. Thank you for getting in touch, and thank you for being with me and willing to share your amazing story about where you've lived. If you'd like to give a quick brief overview of all the stops along the way that you've taken and where you're from originally.
Oh, thank you. I'm pleased to be here. I'm British. I lived in Zurich for about nearly 5 years. Then I was back in the UK, and then I took off travelling, and I wound up in Peru, which is where I am now, and that'll be the subject for our chat today.
Wonderful. Well, what a great introduction. So hello, welcome to Expat Pod. My name is James, your host, and this bit is the 10 quickfire questions, which is kind of a new part of the podcast. I'm really trying to understand a lot more in a shorter form. So Marie, first of all, welcome. And I want to kind of find out your favourite place you've ever lived.
Definitely Peru.
Is it the exact town you've lived in?
Yeah, here. This is my soul home. This is Ollantaytambo. It's where you get the train to Machu Picchu. And it's surrounded by mountains. We have a fabulous Inca fortress with ceremonial sites and a sacred mountain on the other side with the god of abundance's face carved into it. It's absolutely the most stunning place. And then there's little hidden sites here, there, and everywhere that, as a local, I have the privilege of walking my dog to most days. So it's just the most incredible place.
Amazing. On to the second question. Your favourite international food? And that's from the UK, obviously. You can use Peruvian.
Do you know, when I'm here, I crave chicken tikka masala like you can't imagine. That's the first thing I do when I go home.
That's perfect.
But the thing is, at Peru is the food is just amazing. So it's amongst the best in the world. The Peruvian chefs are credited; they're right up there. They often win the best food, best gastronomy, and it's because it's all round. Like street food, I can get for £2. I can get a soup, a main course, and a drink. And it will be different. There'll be a choice of 2 or 3 every day, and I can go and get my dinner cooked for me. I don't have to wash up. And for, I would say, for about £15, for about 30 soles, you're going to get chef cooked food, like excellent, top notch chef cooked food. So my favorite in this town is tarwi, which is a local white bean that they liquidize and put with herbs and garlic and onion and cheese and a little bit cheese. And it's like a liquidized bean sauce that they have with rice, and sometimes they make a meat guiso. That's like a meat kind of with a sauce to go with it. But I tend to avoid that and just eat the tarwi. But that's my favorite.
What's your favourite international tradition? I'm guessing it's Incan vegetable.
The traditions here, what attracts me to Latin America is the dancing. There's town parties here. And so Pentecost, that's in late May, June, there's a big town party with all the different dance groups. It happens again in January with the Bacadores. That means the kings. It's part of the Catholic or Christian traditions. But we have 3 child saints are brought down from the communities, and everybody's dancing. There's a town party. So, and Cusco is just, I think most of southern Peru all has dance groups with their amazing costumes. And so the dancing tradition is definitely something that appeals to me. And nobody here is shy about dancing. There's no wallflowers. All the men can dance. That's the most attractive thing about, for me, that's the most attractive thing about Latinos is the men can dance. Yeah.
What a hot take that is. What's your favourite thing about living abroad? Is it the sharing of cultures or?
It is. It is. It's the sharing of values. It's seeing and experiencing that our standards are not universal. They're our standards, and I can't honestly say that I could make the same choices as people do here, but I honour that, and I respect it and enjoy it. The fact that it defines and demonstrates what we all need to achieve from within, and that is just to find our own truth and be serving our own hearts and doing what's right for us, not what society dictates or what culture dictates or first world values dictate. And really, that's what I'm all about. So it kind of makes sense that I'm here, and I value that because I value that at an individual level and at a wider level, at a society level.
And what's your best homesick remedy?
A trip home is a homesick remedy. I don't normally leave it. After 18 months, I'm getting like I need it. And the reason why I need it is to remember that there's two sides of the coin, and I think I'm on the better side of the coin. I go home.
So that you do in Peru.
Yeah. I mean, there are. I would not buy a computer here. I go home to buy my phone. I go home to buy my computer. I go home to buy clothes actually because there isn't the same choice of style, and I like to be a little bit eccentric in my style sometimes. So I like the diversity. I need some London energy every now and then. I need some London every now and then. So that is my cure, because I tell you why it's a cure, and I know it's an obvious thing to go home for a while, but I go home and I can't wait to come back, and it really resets me. And of course, Zoom, because I don't feel isolated. I actually live by myself now with my son. I live in an Inca house in the Inca village in Ollantaytambo. And whenever I go outside, I'm speaking Spanish and I'm interacting in my second language. And I have friends here and I see people, but my closer, deeper friendships, some of them are with people that I haven't met in the flesh. I have an amazing online community of people that I've trained with in different modalities, and some of them I trained with over COVID and I haven't met in the flesh. A lot of them I have now met in the flesh, but I don't actually. It doesn't bother me. I forget who I've met in the flesh and who I haven't. So Zoom is my. I don't get homesick. I don't get homesick. I manage to speak to everybody that I'm close to on a regular basis when I want, and I don't get homesick.
The hardest thing about living abroad, then, if you're not being homesick?
The hardest thing is if your phone gets stolen, if your computer breaks, if the water and the electricity go off at the same time. Can't really think of anything else. Sometimes having to deal with things that is not common sense to you, the process, because this is a magical thing about traveling, is that you realize common sense is common to you from where you're from. and there's a different common sense wherever else you are. And my first shock of that was in Zurich, when I lived in Zurich. Like, the common sense was not my common sense. It's a little bit closer here, my common sense to their common sense. But I think that kind of thing. And you know, if you've got legal tanglings to deal with, like setting up a business, like sorting out your residency, those kinds of things can be challenging, because the law gets updated quite regularly. Not everybody that you speaks to knows the law very well. You can be given wrong advice. You can be sent from one office. It can be like from one window to another window, and that can be frustrating. But it's, you know, all of these things being in a group, they will bring you something. They will teach you something. And I really had to learn to be patient and stay in my end result and just keep moving.
Amazing. What's the best phrase you've heard or learned whilst living abroad? Possibly in Spanish, but if you can translate it.
I think probably the most frequent one is no pasa nada. Nothing happened. Nothing's happening.
It can be the answer. That's also.
Yeah, I think that's it.
And what's your best way to make new friends whilst obviously not living in where you grew up?
Do you know what? There's so many groups on Facebook. There's a group for everything. You know, you can get so much advice from. There's all different qualities of groups in the expat world. You know, there's groups where people are really negative and miserable, and then there's other groups where they just don't allow that, and they're really high standard of people communicating and sharing. They share in travel groups, they share in expat groups, local town groups. Yeah, you can find out anything, and people, I generally speaking, find people to be kind and willing to share their knowledge and their experience.
That's so true. That's how we met. So I agree with that one. What's the best thing to do in your new town? Obviously, I guess it's the natural history and beauty.
Oh, for sure. Like, I feel so privileged every day. I never forget the privilege of being able to climb up the mountain. It's right here behind me. To climb up that mountain every day. And the Incas were really into cosmology. So all the buildings on the mountain sides are all built to match star constellations. I won't go into a lot of detail, but they're magical places, and you know, I have residency. I can enter the fortress whenever I want. I don't need a ticket. But the mountain behind is free to anybody, and I can climb up that whenever I want. I'm in fresh air, and I'm challenged by another language every day. So I actually learned on podcasts this week that being in nature and having a second language, and you know, constantly learning a language, improves executive function of the brain. So I'm getting brain growth benefit, brain generation, as well as everything else. So yeah, I'm very lucky. I love it.
Amazing. And the last question, what's your expat life hack?
It's definitely networking, you know, being on the groups, contributing and learning. You know, I'm not a big scroller, generally speaking, but that is a place where I scroll, because it keeps me informed. I keep other people informed, and I don't feel alone.
What a great way to end. Thank you so much.